Hey guys, it's Andrea or Happy. I wanted to make a video because, as you guys know, everything was choppy when we did the Bootstrap area in the book. And like I told you guys, it was an area I wasn't familiar with doing through Dreamweaver. I usually write my code, so I practiced a little bit. So now me and Dreamweaver are okay now. So what I want to do is take you guys back through just that part in chapter 5, because that's the part that you have to do for your homework and have that one set up correctly. So I want to make sure that I walk you guys through that part. So we're going to start at step 10. This is in chapter 5 under the area of Bootstrap. We skipped all the other areas because we went through those parts in class fine. Also, I am hoarse. I apologize. I'm trying with this voice though. I'm trying. All right, so starting from for us creating our Bootstrap, we're going to go to File, New. We want to make sure the new document is selected, HTML is selected, and we want to choose Bootstrap. Make sure that's selected as well. So making sure Bootstrap is selected, create new, and yours should look like this where it has it checked. We want to uncheck that, include pre-built layout. The other thing is, for this part, we want to click on that little triangle. We're not going to change anything in here. I just want to point out this area. This area is showing you that it's going to be across 12 columns with a 30 pixel gutter in between. For small screens, it's a 768. For medium screens, 992. And for large screens, 1200. We're going to choose Create. Now, there's more information in these areas that I go through that your book describes for you in detail, so you guys are welcome to read that. This one, I'm just trying to show you the basics just to get you guys started with this. All right. So in your book, it's also showing you a diagram of the rows and the columns. It's showing you that the header is 1 row, 1 column. The nav is 1 row, 1 column. The your main content area is 1 row, 3 columns because there's the 2 asides, and then your main content in the center, and then your footer row, which is 1 row, 1 column. Okay, so moving on in the book, let's see, we have our document open. We want to click in live view so that we can see the whole screen. And also, yours may look like this, where it won't have that pretty bar up at the top. But if you click on the bar, you will see this is the your visual media query bar area. So you do want to make sure that that's displayed, or you can toggle it on and off. So whichever way you like working, it's going to work. But what we want to do is we want to save this file. So we're going to go to File, Save. We're going to name this one My Layout. And then, oops, look at that. Look at that. Look what you guys let me do. Shame on you. All right, My Layout .html, and that should already be there. I saved mine to the desktop inside of a folder that I made called Happy Week 5 Homework, and I'm going to choose Save, which you guys can't see. It's down here at the bottom. But anyway, just choose Save. All right. So inside of here, as we look, we'll see that the body is displayed in live view. So that's telling us that anything that we create right now is going to live inside of the body area. So we're cool. Next thing it's telling us to do is to make sure that the insert panel is front and center. Also, up at the top, you'll see yours will say HTML. Click on the arrow and choose Bootstrap, and you should be exactly where we are. All right. And you'll see the drop-down menu, and it tells you a little bit about it being 26 main items and over 80 sub-items inside of there. All right, so next thing we're going to do is click on Container. This is the part we didn't do yesterday. Just click one time. And when you click on Container, you wait a few minutes. You got to be patient with it. You'll see it pop up in here, and it'll say Container. So Container is like your outermost area of your website. So it would be like if you did Tupperware, you had Tupperware bowls, so how Tupperware bowls nest inside of each other. That outermost bowl will be your container. Or if you had boxes, move-in boxes, you had boxes inside of boxes, inside of boxes, inside of boxes, your container would be that outermost box. Or, last example, if you're at the grocery store and you box up or put all your groceries inside of a bag, well, the bag will be your container because that bag is carrying all the little boxes of groceries that are inside of the bag. Okay, gave you 3 examples. You guys should understand this like nothing right now. All right, so a little bit more information is just saying that the default size to this is 1170, but it will shrink and adjust to different screens and stuff like that. All right, so moving on to step 5. Step 5 is telling us that we go into this media query right here, and we want to click on the small media query, which right here, if we hover over it, it says min width of 768, and it's purple. That's what we want to click inside of, and we're going to get this little box. So that's showing us that we're set where we need to be, and we should be good. All right, so step 6 says that it wants us to click on this grid row with column, and we're going to do that. We want to set our columns to nest, so that it nests inside. Just means it's going to be inside that container like your groceries, or inside of that bag. So we're going to nest all of these inside of that outermost container. So that part's cool. We want this to be 1 because we only want 1 in there, and we're going to choose OK. All right, if we split the screen, you will see that we have that outermost container, which is right here, and that div closes right here. But inside of that is what's highlighted, which is the div class row with the column small of 12 and the divs. So far, success. That is success. Yours should say SM here, but of course, you guys know if it doesn't, you can change that and just type it in, because it's just code, and code is just typing. That's all. All right. But making sure this one is selected, because the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put another one in here, excuse me, as well. So we're going to click on this grid row with column. For this one, we want it to be after, so highlight after, and we just want 1 column, because this is going to be, remember, this is our header right now. The next one we're bringing is our nav area, which is really just 1 column and 1 row. So click on that, and we just brought that nav area in right here. All right, so we want to repeat this because we got to bring in another row. So choose grid row with column. In this one, though, we're going to have 3 columns inside of there, because this is the area that's going to have a side, your main content, and then a side. So this one's going to have 3 columns. So choose OK. Hopefully you're seeing how this comes together, because this is kind of that wireframe of how you're setting up your website. This is what's helping that. All right. So we did that one, and we have one more to bring in. So let's bring in another one, because this one is going to be for our footer. So let's click on grid rows with column. Go ahead and choose after. We're going to choose 1, and we're going to choose OK. All right. So now we have our structure that we wanted. We wanted 4. And if you look at your diagram of the picture of the website, there was that header. So there's that 1 row. There was your nav. That's your next row. There was your next row that had 3 columns, which was just say your content area, which had a side, then content, then a side, and then you have your last row, which is your footer. Okay, and this will all make sense later if it doesn't make sense now, but it will make sense eventually. So let's go ahead and save this file. Just hit Command S or Control S if you're on the PC. No big deal, small differences. All right, so now we're down in the area where it says adding HTML5 elements to Bootstrap. All right, so step 1, we're good. Step 2 says to select the split view, which we have ours already selected, so that we can see the code view and the live view at the same time. It's telling you that these borders and rows are visible, and they are. We want to click in the first row, because now we're going to start changing this out so that it kind of makes sense for us. So we're at step 4. All right, so with that highlighted, what we want to do is on step 4, we want to click on the selector that says div row, because we want this whole thing highlighted, because that's what we're going to change. We're going to hit Control T, and we're going, that tags the quick tag editor comes up. We're going to highlight the word div, and we're going to type the word header. And as you can see, as soon as we type that E going into header, shows up at the bottom right here. We're going to hit return twice, and that's just so that it commits. And now we have our header row. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the next row below. This is our nav row. We want to select that div row so that we change the actual row and not just the column. We will be changing the column very soon, but for now, we just want to change the outermost row. And so for here, we hit Control T and highlight that div, and we're going to name this one nav. And as you'll notice, it returned twice. What's changing is the nav is changing up here and it's also changing down here because these are outermost rows. All right, let's do that again. Select your row 3, highlight that div row. In here we have a little bit more work to do than in the other rows, but that's okay. With that total row selected and all of the columns, hit Control T. Highlight that first div. This one is going to be, let me move down. This is going to be our article row. So A-R-T-I-C-L-E. Oops. Once we see article, hit return twice to commit it. Now with this one, we have a little more work again because now we want the individual columns that are inside of this row. So we named the row article. Now we're going to name these individual columns that sit inside of here. 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's choose the first one. Excuse me. We can hit Control T because that row is selected. And we're going to change the first one to be aside. Oops. Once we see aside, we can hit return twice. And notice that it changed down here to aside. The open tag and the close tag changed to aside. All right, so let's click in the second area. Let's hit Control T. We're going to change this one to section. Highlight that first div. Once you start typing and you see the word section pop up, hit return to commit it. And you'll see down here that it says section. Let's go into our third column. Hit Control T. That one we're going to name aside again. Hit return twice to commit. All right, that one looks good. And for the third one, we got to go back down here to select that whole row. This one's going to be our footer row. So with that selected, hit Control T, and we're going to highlight that first div and name that one footer. All right, save that. This looks really good. This is actually ready for you guys to do your homework. So what I suggest, because we're going to have to replace the one in class with it as well, is that you save this one twice. Save it once and replace the other one that's inside of your homework folder now and work with that one, and then have another one so that we can start with that one at FCC for next class. But if you don't do that part, it's okay. I'm going to make sure that I put it in the drive if you guys remind me as well. But I'm also going to put it on Blackboard in just a few moments. But that's how your file should look for your homework. It should look just like this with everything named and labeled correctly. Let's see. Aside. And we got section and aside. Yep. So with everything named correctly. All right. Hopefully this helps you guys out. If you still have any issues, just let me know and we'll talk them out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Saturday.